This week on Previews World Weekly, we compare Kirby and Ditko's Spider-Man designs, judge comic books by their covers, and we take a look at the horror that was the Sexy Beast trailer. Yikes. It's all happening right now on Previews World Weekly.
What's up, Previews World? It's Wednesday. It's New Comic Book Day, so it's time.
Sorry, I was like goofing off, and then it was time to go.
It's okay. It happened. All the, again, this is why it's live. Let's just roll with it. Welcome to Previews World Weekly. I'm one of your hosts, George Jeffrey Allen.
I'm your other host, Ashton Greenwood, aka the Duchess of Free Comic Book Day. Guys, we are inside of 50 days to Free Comic Book Day. Yeah. We're getting there. Mm-hmm. Saturday, August 14th. Mark your calendars. Check out the website. See the full list of books. There's 50 awesome titles you can get. A great Spider-Man Venom title that we'll talk about more later in the show.
Oh, nice.
And we also have this fantastic selection of exclusively designed posters that our publishers have put together to celebrate our 20th anniversary. And it gives you a look at some of the cool destinations you can find in the different books available in Free Comic Book Day.
Mm-hmm. Can you actually just real quick tick off some of the publishers that participated, just so people know what they're looking at here?
Yeah, definitely. So you got Mad Cave Studios, Silver Sprocket, Valiant, Rebellion of 2000 AD, also 10 Ton Press for second books, and oh no, I'm missing somebody and I feel bad.
That's okay. Just a few. Don't give them the whole show. Make them go to freecomicbookday.com and figure it out for themselves. Thanks guys for joining us. I want to remind people to like, share, and subscribe. Hey, thank you, Red Rum. You are first. And welcome to Previews World Weekly. And hey guys, guess what? There's a new catalog out this week. So there's new previews. It just hit comic shops. It's been live on the site since last Friday, but I just wanted to give you guys a quick sneak peek at it. On the cover is Jeff Lemire's Maze book, who I swear to God, at this time, Jeff Lemire is like the most prolific dude in comics. He just writes everything. And it's kind of amazing. In addition to his Black Hammer book, he keeps putting out these other smaller titles. And this one is also from Dark Horse. So definitely check that out. And on the flip side, I think this is awesome. The Snake Eyes movie's coming out. And this PVC diorama is right on time. I love the G.I. Joe Snake Eyes from Diamond Select Toys. And also, they really are killing it with some of the detail on these things. I remain impressed, especially with their more recent offerings. They've been knocking it out of the park. Some of the cool stuff I saw, there's actually a TMNT Last Ronin design archive, which includes never before seen behind the scenes artwork and design notes from TMNT Last Ronin 2 and 3 and 1. There's also actually, no, not that. Don't like that. That sucks. I'm kidding. There's actually a book called Gun Honey from Hard Case Crime, which is an imprint of Titan Comics. I also thought was pretty cool this week. There's another one called Last Days of Us Forsaken from Second Sight Publishing. And I am really excited for Inferno #1 because it's supposedly the culmination of Jonathan Hickman's X-Men run. At least it begins here. I've been sweating his X-Men run for at least 2 years now. I can't think of any other word better than I have been sweating them for 2 years now. And I really have. So definitely check that out. And of course, there's more. There's 600 pages roughly of just stuff you could pre-order from the Previews catalog, and you can buy it at your local comic shop right now, or you can head to previewsworld.com/catalog and check it out. What else we got going on? Ashton, you finally watched Loki, didn't you?
I did. Oh my God.
I was really excited. Because I've been waiting for you to watch it. So yeah, I might have my octave went up a notch. Just a second there. But yeah, come on, give it to us. What's your take? What are you thinking so far?
Oh my God. Okay. So I've only seen the first 2 episodes, I have to admit. I made the mistake of trying to watch the third episode, kind of late at night last night, and I was super lost. So I was like, I'm just going to give up and try again when my brain works. Oh my God, I love it. It's so dope. It's so good. It's funny because one of my immediate reactions with the whole TVA thing and the entire timeline thing was, on the one hand, it makes perfect sense. And on the other hand, it makes no goddamn sense.
Oh, of course.
And somehow that works perfectly together.
I mean, that's superhero comics in general. Like, I think the best superhero comics make no sense at all, but they absolutely make sense on top of that. Like, we definitely think about these things way too much. So far, like, what else you getting from it? What else, what other things, what other hot takes do you have for us?
You know what? I want to ask you about something in a minute. I kind of like the kind of like humanizing approach that they're going for with Loki himself, because for the longest time he was such a villain, and then by the time Ragnarok comes around, he's softened a lot. But this isn't that Loki, so I like that I like the way that they've approached softening him this time around, because he comes from a place of being so arrogant, and everything with like seeing Ragnarok in the future and his mother's death and what would become of him against Thanos is, I think that's so cool. I don't know, because I love character development. That's the thing I look for most in anything. Sorry, Johnny. I should have.
Yeah, sorry. We should have done that collectively. Yes, this is spoiler territory, guys. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ashton. What were you about to say?
Oh, I love character development most. That's like the number one thing I look for in anything I consume. So I really like the way they've approached it here.
Oh yeah.
I love Mobius. I think he's dorky, and I know that like Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson have worked together before, so I think that's cool to see them together again in this.
Oh, have they? Have they worked together? What did they work on? Like
they were in one of Wes Anderson's wacky movies.
Of course.
I'm not even sure which one.
Okay.
I forgot what I was going to say after that.
My bad. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump in there.
No, it's okay. Yeah, I really like it. I'm super interested to see where they're going with the female Loki thing, because, and I say the quotations because you mentioned to me yesterday that you think maybe she isn't actually Loki, and whatever happens in episode 3, I guess hints at that, and I haven't gotten that far yet.
Actually, I wouldn't go that far. Actually, it's just a hunch. It's just a hunch. Like, I just think that the way that they're dancing around, the way that they're explaining her existence in the timeline seems kind of off. You know, and it's, I don't know. We're kind of just taking it at face value that this reality's Loki is female, right? And it's sort of like, well, why would we just take that at face value? I mean, we know that the multiverse does exist, but there's no reason for us to just immediately believe that she is Loki. Maybe she's just playing a part as well. And here's my theory. Here's my 2 cents, right? They keep mentioning the word enchantment, right? Over and over again. And I didn't come up with this. I don't know who mentioned this to me before. It might have been Johnny, but I'm wondering if she's Enchantress, which is actually another long mainstay villain of the Thor, the world of Thor, of the Asgardians. So yeah, I'm curious about that. But yeah, it was just a hunch, just wondering.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that, to that point, he seemed so caught off guard by who she was when she finally revealed herself in the Superstore in 2050. Like right before she bombed the timeline or whatever. I don't know. Like, I get that nobody knows who she is, but I would expect Loki to not be quite as floored as he was, maybe. I thought that was a little weird.
Yeah. And actually, no, you bring up a very good point. Something I kind of keep forgetting when I'm watching the show. Like, constantly, I just forget. This is not Infinity War Loki. This is Avengers 2012 Loki. And like, yeah, that's actually a very interesting dynamic that I keep forgetting about when I'm watching this show, is that like, yeah, he's in a different headspace. Like, he's always going to be up to mischief, right? But he's in a different headspace in 2012. One thing I'm curious about is I want them to expand a little bit on the Thanos Loki connection a little bit more. They kind of dive into it, and like, of course, Loki was appalled to find out that Thanos ultimately betrays him and kills him. But at the same time, I'm like, I wish they would kind of expand on what that plan was a little more. Maybe we'll get that, maybe we won't. It's just me being a comic book nerd who used to read the back of Marvel Comics cards and need all the details at all possible times. So, but yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's pretty cool, and I'm looking forward to where it goes. So we'll see what's up. Let's jump ahead and let's do what's at comic shops. How about that?
I'm ready.
All right, let's give our picks this week, and then we'll talk a little bit more and show you a little bit more of what's available this week at your local comic shop. Here we go. All right, hallelujah. It is New Comic Book Day. That's one of the things I love about Wednesday. It's actually the only thing I love about Wednesday, really. Like it makes it, like we call Wednesday hump day, right? And it's because it really is like the thing that you kind of have to get over to get into the second half of the week. But you know what? If you stop off at your local comic shop, it's hard to not feel good about Wednesdays because you're surrounded by colorful characters and stories of adventure and romance and all this other stuff. So let's talk a little bit about what we're picking up this week. Ashton, I'm gonna let you go first. What is your pick?
Okay, so my pick this week is Everyone is Tulip from Dark Horse Comics. And to jump a little bit ahead to our next segment, I did pick this book simply because the cover got my attention.
Okay.
I'm always, I don't know, there's always something very interesting to me about any sort of commentary you can make about the social media age. And I immediately felt like that's what this was going to be with the iPhone on the cover.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what this is. It centers on a character, Rebecca, who desperately wants to be famous. And, she finally gets that wish when one of her internet performance art videos goes viral overnight. And she's, immediately a superstar, like internet famous. But kind of comes to uncover some of the pitfalls and dangers of being internet famous. And it's going to be kind of like this psychological exploration into what it means to be like an internet celebrity in like the social media age. And I think that's so interesting because it is, the social media fame, like internet famous people, it almost feels like there's a different rule book for them. Everything's about like drama, tea, receipts, like who's canceled this week. So I think that there's a lot to say about that. And I think this could be interesting. So I'm definitely picking this up. It's a trade, so there's plenty to get through.
Yeah, I hate how much this occupies my headspace, but I totally understand what you mean. Like, and anything that unpacks like our current social media, I don't know, hellscape, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. Like I'm way into, because like I think that we need to kind of unpack it as it's happening to kind of properly understand it, because like I feel like we just kind of dive head first, start typing and tweeting, and you know, and things just take off from there, and you have no control of it once it goes off into the internet. So
everything has a consequence, it feels like, and things live forever on the internet.
Yes, they do. So hey, what's up, Ubaldo? Replace Hump Day with Comic Book Day. You know what? Officially. Let's do it. Somebody call up Joe Biden. Tell him to make it official. Make Wednesday officially free. Right. Make today officially Free Comic Book Day. We need to make this happen. My pick this week actually is not a comic. And you know what? I did this selfishly because there are a couple of them coming out and I couldn't decide. So I just kind of threw my hands up and said, I'm going to pick a toy. Right. But I feel like it's almost a disservice to NECA to call this a toy, because like, look at this. It's Batman Returns Catwoman action figure from NECA. And like, it's just, the detail, like I'm just absolutely floored. It looks like Michelle Pfeiffer. And I'm kind of wondering what the hair is, you know what I mean, on the toy, on that second head sculpt. But it's 1/4 scale. I always forget what that means. I know it has to do something with the real life height of Michelle Pfeiffer and what they scaled it down to. I always forget how that works. But it is available from NECA. It's coming out this week. It's going for $140. So you better be really about your Batman if you want to get a hold of this. But at the same time, like I just was absolutely floored when I saw that. Like I was just like, this looks like the movie. Like this is insane.
Yeah.
So definitely check that out. And that's available from NECA this week at your local comic shop. Use Pull Box, kids, and see if you can reserve yourself a copy today, because I'm sure they're going to go quick. All right. I got Tarot of the Black Rose and Dune. All right, cool. Shout out to Boom Studios.
Shout out to Dune.
Yeah, what's up with Dune, that's supposed to be out already?
It was supposed to come out in October, and then there was this whole thing about Legendary wanted it to also be in theaters and not just on HBO Max. So I'm not really sure. Long story short, it got pushed to this October 22nd, and it'll be in theaters and on HBO Max. And I'm big hype about it.
Yeah, I'm hyped for you. And like your interest has made me want to really delve into this. Like, not enough to read the book again. Try to read the book again.
Again, like you read it the first time.
I read like 4 chapters. I feel like every time I mention it, like I think the chapters get less and less.
I think so.
Like, yeah, right. I think I've read like 4 chapters. Like, I'm not with this. This is just not my steez, I guess.
on Dune for like the first 4 chapters. Nothing meaningful has happened yet.
Yeah, I mean, that's totally fair. I mean, I still have the book. Like, I'm still posing. I'm still got it on my shelf. Like, it's some tome that I had from my childhood that I've read like 50 times. Absolutely not true. Bought it in 2017. Haven't really finished it. Sorry, guys.
God.
Anyway, enough nerd shaming, Troy. Enough. All right, let's kick it over to Anna Mia. She's going to show you what else is available this week at your local comic shop. And then we come back. We're going to talk about Spider-Man. All right, Let's go.
Hey Previews World, Mia here with a look at what's at comic shops for the week of June 30th, 2021. So let's jump on in. For more info on these titles and others, head on over to PREVIEWSworld.com/new releases.
All right, and of course, that's just some of what you can get at your local comic shop this week. I do want to put a little spotlight on some of the things that just kind of whizzed on by. Number one being Krent and Abel, which we'll talk about a little bit more. That's from Image Comics. If you're a big fan of Red Room, Ed Piskor, Jim Rugg type stuff, you might want to check that out. Also, I thought this was cool. There is a Buffy the Vampire Slayer book written by Mirka Andolfo and drawn by Saya Om, which, Mirka Andolfo is, of course, like the it person of comics right now. Like, I feel like there's a bunch of artists that you see in high demand, and she's definitely one of them.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, definitely check that out. Also, just as a Buffy fan, I'm always down for more stories about the Ripper, Giles, the Watcher. So I'm definitely way into that, and I actually might pick that up myself. And of course, there's a giant-sized Amazing Spider-Man Chameleon Conspiracy #1, which I feel like actually might be the swan song for Nick Spencer on Spider-Man. I think he might be on his way out. Like,
really?
he's had a strong run. He's been on the book for, I think, something like 70-something issues. And now we're going to talk a little bit more about who's replacing him. So you want to dive into the news with us, Ashton?
Heck yeah, I do. So Amazing Spider-Man will be returning in October with an impressive new story and, as Troy pointed out, an even more impressive and new creative team. So they'll be handing the reins over to Kelly Thompson, Saladin Ahmed, Cody Ziegler, Patrick Gleason, and Zeb Wells on this thrice monthly title. So that's a lot of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And it's setting up an all-new story arc, I should say. The saga will continue with Amazing Spider-Man #75 with Ben Reilly returning to take the mantle of Spider-Man, and backed by the Beyond Corporation, this Peter Parker clone is determined to be the best version of Spider-Man ever, but it turns out that could have some serious consequences for the real Peter Parker. And so in terms of this story, you can also get a sneak peek of it on Free Comic Book Day, Saturday, August 14th, at your local comic shop. Marvel's Spider-Man Venom Free Comic Book Day book will give you a hint at what's to come, so you might want to grab that. And you can get more info on Amazing Spider-Man #75 at PREVIEWSworld.com. And we also have some art up over there, too, if you want to check that out.
All right. Yeah, cool. So, yeah, and also definitely pick up Chameleon Conspiracy if you've been excited about Nick Spencer's run on Spider-Man, because, I think this is the beginning of his grand finale, right? And, also shout out to Nick Spencer, because apparently it took like 4 writers to replace him.
Right, damn.
So, I mean, brush your shoulders off, Nick Spencer. You're quite a tough act to follow, I guess. Actually, real quick, before I'm going to talk a little bit more about Spider-Man in a second, but I wanted to ask you, Ashton, can you just tell us a little bit about the Funko thing? Because I think it's actually pretty cool, and I think it's kind of important. And whatever you can tell us about it thus far, can you know way more about this than I do right now? So.
Yeah, definitely. So Funko has recently announced a bit of a shakeup to their distribution partners, and they've announced 3 key distributors that will be handling all of their product throughout, the various markets where you can buy a Funko. You can buy a Funko pretty much anywhere these days. So they've narrowed it down to these 3 main distributors, and Diamond has been selected as one of their premier distribution partners, which is really exciting. And, you know, we've already had a great relationship with Funko, so this feels like a natural next step to kind of be working with them in a bit of a bigger way. So we're excited to be partnering with them and getting them in front of as many eyes as humanly possible.
There you go. Look at that pull box, Coca-Cola and Funko. We're crushing it over here, guys. I'm just letting you know. But yeah, no, I thought that was really cool. And also we do previews exclusive Funko Pops.
Yes.
So, you know, I think if anything, this is actually another bonus for you Funko collectors, especially if you're using pull box, right?
Yeah.
You should be using pull box, right? Because you want to get those Funko exclusives, right? And Previews World is the only way to get them. So definitely sign up for pull box right now, previewsworld.com/pullbox. All right. Enough shameless self-promotion. Just had to pay the bills, make our bosses happy real quick. Still good news all around. I stumbled upon, so I've mentioned before quite a few times, I'm in the Cartoonist Kayfabe Facebook group, right? I feel like I should stop advertising it because it's starting to slowly turn into I won't say a dumpster fire, but there's some trolls are starting to peek their head in, you know, and it's not as pure as it used to be, you know. But that said, like every now and then someone posts something, actually more often than not, someone posts something that's like, oh, I've never seen that before. And one of the things I didn't see before is actually a comparison of Jack Kirby's Spider-Man versus Steve Ditko's Spider-Man. So the story goes that like Stan Lee had this concept or whatever, or Marvel will say had a concept, and they wanted to do a teenage superhero. The knee-jerk reaction was to go to Jack Kirby. Like Jack Kirby is the veteran illustrator. He had already knocked it out of the park with the X-Men. I'm sorry, with the Fantastic Four, and then turns out he just wasn't the right artist for the job. And so they handed it over to Steve Ditko instead. And so, Johnny, if you could throw that back up real quick. Yeah, like, I mean, you really get to see the contrast between the two. And like also shout out to Cover Price Comics, who actually I friended recently on Instagram, on our Previews World Instagram, because they've been very supportive of us. But like, yeah, it originally came from them. But I just thought that was really interesting. Like, can you imagine a world where Spider-Man looked like the Jack Kirby version?
No, because it doesn't look anything like, there's nothing that says spider about that. It's just like man in suit.
Right, exactly. So I just thought that was really
fine. But it's so weird to look at it because, you know, Spider-Man's such a part of like our cultural fabric at this point. Like there's certain superheroes that literally everybody knows, and he's one of them, and his suit is so iconic. So it's so weird to see him in not that.
Right. No, and I mean, I think that's exactly it. And it's actually really interesting how something can be iconic by sheer process of elimination too. Yeah. I really find that creative process always fascinating. Like they had an idea, they went to their top guy was like, yeah, I'll try this. They were like, nah, that's not going to work. And then the second choice, right, gave us the iconic look that we have today. So, and I mean, we just saw with the Spider-Man Beyond book, like even when there's a new person under the suit, they don't steer too far away from that iconic look. You know what I mean? So yeah, I just thought that was pretty cool and pretty awesome. And I just wanted to kind of like give that a little note for all the old school comic book heads out here. You can never have enough fun. Thank you, Vengeful Elf. Sorry, Johnny, I'm totally stealing your comments. But yeah, thank you very much. Much appreciated. All right, let's do a trailer. So one of the other big books out this week is a book called, I have so much trouble saying this, I don't know why, but it's a book called Parasimonia. Right? Okay. It's from it's from Dark Horse Comics. I made that mistake earlier. And it's written by Colin Bunn, drawn by Andrea Muti. And check out the trailer. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about it. Here we go. Oh, look at that. That's today. That's right. That's available at your local comic shop today. If you're a fan of books like The Sixth Gun, which actually I definitely was a fan of Sixth Gun, Harrow County and Lock and Key, this is probably the book for you. It's a dark fantasy tale of two worlds split between dreams and reality. So definitely check that out from Colin Bunn, who is definitely like a horror guy, and he seems to have fun in that genre, even though he does branch out on occasion. So yeah, check out Parasomnia #1, which I feel like is like some sort of affliction. Like there's probably, I think that's a medical term of some sort. I'll look into that later. Actually, Johnny,
I'm going to stop you right there, Troy. I think it's parasomnia.
Somnia. Okay, that actually makes more sense. Like insomnia, parasomnia. Okay.
Yeah, because I actually just looked it up and it says parasomnia is a catch-all term for unusual behaviors that people experience prior to falling asleep, while asleep, or during the arousal period between sleep and wakefulness. So going off of your description, that's a pretty apt description of what the title's about.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. Thank you, Johnny. Thank you for the save. Actually, Johnny, real quick before you run away, you mentioned that the enchantress's name is Sylvie. I actually forgot that.
Is Sylvie Lushton. Apparently in the Earth 616 world, that's the enchantress's name.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not unfounded that a lot of people are thinking it's going to be
Isn't
the
that
enchantress.
the character's name in Loki too?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's why a lot of people, it's kind of strengthening the fact that a lot of people are thinking that it's actually going to be the enchantress in disguise, and it's not actually a Loki. And then I think it's just Mephisto.
As one does.
Mephisto's behind everything. Thank you, Johnny. That's production manager Johnny Rose, always coming in, always clutch. Much appreciated. Real quick, I want to focus in on something, Ashton. You ready for this conversation?
Sure.
You think you're going to be okay with this, Ashton? You know what? I was going to blame this on furries, but I don't even know if I can blame this on furries. There's a new Netflix show called Sexy Beasts. It's already just looking away.
Like, I want to hide from this, you guys. Someone needs to watch this trailer. Jesus.
Oh my God. I could not talk about it this week. So Johnny pointed out that this is like that other sci-fi show where they put on makeup on people, but it's like kind of taking that in The Bachelor. And I am just absolutely positively, like dating shows just kind of keep upping the ante. And it's like, this is so bizarre to me. And like I said, I wanted to blame this. I can't.
I'll take it from here because I got a lot of questions.
Go ahead.
Number one, who's responsible for this? Like, who was like, you know what we should do? Furries dating. Secondly, why? Who came up with this, and who is the intended audience for this? Netflix,
that's the thing.
Please.
And so,
thirdly, like, why would you get a single thing out of this? Like, there's like, I'm so confused because you know it's going to be hot people. It's a Netflix show. They're not going to go out and cast like someone that's like unattractive. They're gonna cast conventionally attractive people to do this, so you know that no matter who's under that crazy dolphin get up, she's gonna be hot by like a conventional standard. Like,
maybe.
No, I have to like chime in and agree
jump
with
in,
Ashton,
John,
because like I'm gonna like pause this or
okay. Sorry.
Attractive person. I'm like, you're not going to like rip off this makeup and find Quasimodo underneath here.
That's exactly what I'm saying. That's 100% what I'm saying.
I'm absolutely floored by this. Like, I don't know what this is. You know what I think is interesting about this is, so we know that Netflix has their algorithm, right? And they rely very much on their algorithm to the point that I think they have actually pissed off a few producers in the past, right? Like the producers of Avatar. I just heard recently John Boyega just walked off the set of something.
I heard that as well, yeah.
You know, and sometimes when I hear stuff about that with Netflix, I always think, okay, well, they probably are sitting here, well, our algorithm says this show has to be this. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I can see, like, as a producer coming from traditional television or traditional movies, whatever you want to call it, being irritated by that, right? But at the same time, I look at this and I'm like, but is your algorithm also saying that there's some sort of Venn diagram, some cross section for, oh God, Johnny, help me out here. What was that show on the Sci-Fi Channel called?
It was called Face Off.
Face Off. Like
now the thing is, I love that show because it was
it's a
actually.
cool show.
I think I hate about a lot of reality shows like The Bachelor. It's just fake reality. The thing I like about shows like Sci-Fi's Face Off and even Lego Masters or the show with Amy Poehler and Nick Offerman making it. These are shows where they're quote unquote reality shows, but they show people being creative. They show people making something or building something. There's an air of creation to it. Mm-hmm. This, like you said, it just looks like someone took Face Off and put it into The Bachelor, and they had a baby. So it's a train wreck. I'm horrified, but I can't look away.
I mean, I think we're all.
Let's watch it again.
There you go. There you go.
Why?
Apparently, you know what? I think homework for all of us. This show airs on July 21st. We at least got to watch the first episode.
Oh, well, we're 100% watching this.
We at least have to watch the first episode. Johnny, if I forget, please remind me. We're gonna waste at least 5 or 10 minutes of the show after July 21st talking about that.
Hey, we've already made it through Tiger King. I mean, how much worse could this be?
You know what? Don't challenge the reality TV gods. They might have something for you.
Obviously, they do. They're like, we need a scarecrow and a dolphin together.
I can't.
As God intended.
Every time
I want to see the fan art that's going to come from this. From okay, if this character and this character had a baby, what would it look like? Some kind of weird dolphin scarecrow abomination?
No.
Yes.
No. I'm going to sign a petition. I'm not with this. This is disturbing.
I hate it.
Every time, I've been trying to say this. Every time I see the dolphin, it looks like her eyes are cross-eyed, and it just cracks me up every single time. And I'm just it's such a bizarre. Anyway, we'll get off of this.
Where is it? Where is the dolphin? There we go.
There it is. Well, where's the part where she looks right at him? She looks cross-eyed.
Oh, it does look cross-eyed.
And she's got the blowhole in the middle of her head.
Do dolphins have blowholes?
I mean, maybe that's so she can breathe. I really don't know. Maybe she's actually supposed to be like some sort of whale thing. I don't know, guys. I don't have the answers. I don't can tell you. Anyway,
let's get out of here. Let's get out of here. This topic.
Yeah, I'm a little shaken by this. So let's just move on to Social Swamp. I got no segue, Johnny. Just go. Just
get us out. Okay, this week on Social Swamp, we asked you guys to break a cardinal rule. Judge a comic book by its cover. So in other words, we wanted you to tell us what books grabbed your attention just because the cover was eye-catching or colorful or fancy or whatever. Got your attention, so you picked it up. Let's see what got your attention and what you guys said. Jay Rambo picked Justice League America.
Nice little Exorcist reference. I'm down for that.
Oh God, I can't read this. Joey picked The Incredible Hulk.
If you want me to take over, I can read these because I know it's a little hard for you.
It is the print is teeny tiny. Sorry for being...
No, it's okay. That's my fault for photoshopping this improv. Joey said, there's a few I considered posting, but when this comic came out, my jaw dropped. I thought it was the coolest cover I've ever seen. Loved the detailed reflection in Wolverine's claws. I wasn't surprised Marvel released a full-size poster of it. The issue was great too. Not always the case when you get a comic with a cool cover.
There you go.
And this Incredible Hulk 340, this is one of the ones I want to add to my collection. I still have, to this day, have not gotten it yet.
Some classic McFarlane, too.
Doctor Strange #4 from Brian, October 1974. Incredible Frank Brunner cover. Brian says, I'm pretty sure this turned me into a Spider-Man fan for life. So with Venom, Carnage in there. I also have that. I think that's Mark Bagley art, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yeah. Definitely Mark Bagley.
Yeah. This one, as Norman Cook says, one of the few times I bought a comic solely for the cover, for Shirtless Bear Fighter.
Yeah, that one is I'll talk about that in a second. That's a great one, actually.
Alex Lester chimed in and says, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
You should read it, Alex. It's no false advertising. It's exactly what it says on the cover.
Why is it holding a knife like a person? It just has a person arm for no reason.
Because bears have vendettas. They have personal vendettas against the
okay.
fighter.
Got it. Understood.
It's a whole thing, Ash, and that's just nature. You don't know
this
that.
cover,
I didn't know that.
This cover to me looks like the premise of an old 1990s or 80s Yakov Smirnoff comedy bit. Like, in Soviet Russia, a bear attacks you.
Oh, yikes.
Terrible joke.
No, it's hilarious. I love
Ed
it.
Alexander says this story and in particular this cover are what got me started collecting comics. I own every printing of this issue.
That's a real one. Yeah.
That's an iconic cover. I mean, I remember how much like the death of Superman was in the news when that happened back in the 90s. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that got people to read comics who weren't really into comics. So.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Eric Bowen put this cover of the Black Panther, which I absolutely love.
Nice.
And the last we have Nicholas Smith, who said, I found this beautiful volume number 12 of Monstrous in FP Glasgow and immediately bought it and started searching for all the prior volumes. I'm all caught up now and absolutely adore the series.
Nice. Actually, let Nicolum know that number 35 is out this week, actually, Monstrous. So definitely check that out. I've joked about this before in the show that you can't judge books by their cover, but you should be able to judge a comic book by its cover, I should say, right?
Yeah, to some extent, I would agree.
I would feel like the old school way, and I say you should have because this has changed over the last, maybe 10, 15 years, maybe, is now we get more artistic covers. Like, you know what I mean? We get covers that are really, I feel like in some way designed more for like additional merchandising. You know what I mean? But it used to be that like you would get some awesome freaking covers that like could give you some insight into the book, and that's how you grab people's attention. I kind of missed that. I wish we would go back to that. So I'm going to break out some, but I just wanted your thoughts, Ashton, on the whole like judging a book by its cover, or even just covers that have like jumped out at you. Any direction you want to go with this?
Okay. So I have two things here, and the second thing is a cover that jumped out at me, and I'm going to apologize in advance because it's like hella goofy and is going to undermine the seriousness of this conversation. But it grabbed my attention.
That's okay.
I do think that comic books as books are in a unique position where you could and to some extent should judge them by the cover, right? Like with a novel, it doesn't really function the same way. Because whatever you see on the cover is like very rarely related to what is actually going on in the book.
Right, yeah.
But to some extent, you can expect that whatever you see on the cover is going to be, on some level, the content of the book. So I think you should, although I would be wary to say that it's something you should do all the time or to great lengths. Maybe you should avoid doing it at great lengths, just because like there's always going to be a surprise. So you don't want to look at something and be too like, that's why it's a life idiom. You don't want to turn your nose up at something because it could surprise you ultimately.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I think you could to some extent. And again, you should to some extent. My particular book that I want to talk about for this, and again, I'm sorry. This was a game that I was like, it's Dream Daddy.
Oh, okay. No, look, we've talked about Dream Daddy before.
It's so goofy, right? Like the game itself is just, the entire thing is a hot mess, but like some of the covers of like the issues in here are like needlessly sexy, or like, I'm going to avoid the ones like aggressively sexy, but like some of the like what is happening here? There's an octopus situation, like a tiki head. And
that's right. These are the collected editions.
This is the one that I'm like, why? Like this, if I saw this as a single issue, I'm like, what is happening here? There's a vampire. This guy's shirtless for no reason. Like, excellent. Yes, I'm dying to know what is happening. There's a pirate.
I didn't realize that Dream Daddy went with the Castlevania crossover route.
You know what? Look, we love Damien, okay? He's Victorian. He's into Victorian era clothing. And he's a king. We stand Damien.
Hey, you know, shout out to Dream Daddy. Like, available at your local comic shop right now.
But like, I don't know. I guess the point I was trying to make with this is it goes all ways, right? Like the death of Superman is very serious. That's a very important part of, you know, comics culture and comics history. But something that's like colorful and goofy is going to grab your attention just as much as something that's going to make like a cultural impact.
Right. Well, you know, I think to your point, this is actually not disagreeing with you. I think this is actually just another angle to look at it, right? Is the Dream Daddy cover isn't a complete misrepresentation of what's going on inside the book. You know what I mean? Right. Like it's at least narratively focused on what you should expect from the Dream Daddy comic. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And that's kind of what I miss about some of the more modern comics. I feel like some of them become very abstract. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And others just are kind of like I said, like sometimes they're just made for posters or something, like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean, instead of like whatever. And like I kind of miss the narrative focused cover, because I've always kind of liked the approach of comic book covers being like billboards for what's inside the story. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I think, and I know as a kid, like I actually always gravitated towards, truthfully, pulp books and
Yeah.
comic books because of that. Like, you know what I mean? It was just sort of like, oh wait, what is this? What's this on this cover? And then it drew me in. So I actually want to point out that you can go a lot of directions with this, right? Like you can go super dramatic, right? Which is this is one of my favorites right here, is just 251, right? This happens in the book. Like this is not an exaggeration, you know what I mean?
Right.
But it also kind of makes you go like, wait a minute, Wolverine's like crucified on an X? What is this about? You know what I mean? But then you can also go into like more serious topics. And this is like a book that got me to pick it up based on the cover. You know what I mean? This is the HIV issue of Incredible Hulk, issue number 420 by Peter David and Gary Frank. And like, you know, you see it and you're like, oh man, okay, this is serious. I didn't expect this month, you know? I mean, but also, you know, you get stuff that's also represents within the book, but also just looks absolutely phenomenal, right?
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Humble brag. See that Alex Ross signature there in the bottom.
Right. Ooh,
You know,
nice.
yeah, you know, but so like, you know, I just miss that. I think that it's actually important the comics kind of maintain that more often than not. Just because, you know, we're trying to sell, you know,
Yeah.
and you know, it also just kind of is also nice to see the interior art and the exterior art be the same person, you know what I mean? Which is not always a given as well. So there you go. Thanks, guys. I appreciate
I want to hop in
everyone
on there
sharing.
here on this one.
Yeah, what you got, Johnny?
Because I want to play devil's advocate, because I agree with you in a manner that like I miss the days when what was on the cover was a legitimate representation of what you could expect on the inside. However, I am kind of a fan of some of the variant covers. Like everyone who knows me knows that I love Scotty Young. So for me, that becomes a reason for me to actually go to a comic book store and to pick up a title, is because I love a particular artist who did a variant cover. Same with J. Scott Campbell. I'm not going to get into like his particular style of artwork. We've done that in the past. I particularly like his artwork, so I will. If I see something that I like, I will get that. Sometimes it's just about the art. It's not always just about like what the inside of it is. So there's a different kind of market based on like if you want to actually read the interior and get like involved in the story, or if you're just appreciating the art for what it's worth. So I think there's two different sides of the argument there.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, you know, look, I'm always of the attitude, let artists be artists, right?
Definitely.
So yeah, I totally get that. You know, I just miss it a little bit. And I also think it's like easier for kids to, you know, if we're talking about like, you know, the target audience for superhero books, right? Which is debatable, right? But at the same time, you do want to bring a younger audience in, right? You know, sometimes that striking visual is all you need. You know,
Just got to grab someone's attention.
Just got to grab someone's attention, and you know, sometimes you just got to do it any way you can, and sometimes that means something that's not narratively focused, and sometimes it does. You know, but you know, just a preference. That's all. All right. Thanks again, everyone, for submitting those comments. I love that, because I was like, as soon as I was like, okay, we're gonna do this week. I'm like, I love it. We're gonna get a string of comments, and it's gonna be all art and stories about people's first time experiences. You know what I mean? I was like, that's the type of stuff I live for when we're doing these type of social swamp segments. So thank you very much, everyone, for participating. Ashton, do we have a poll this week? I don't think I even asked you. Did you do one this week?
We do. We have a poll this week. It ties into all the cool posts I was telling you guys about at the beginning for Free Comic Book Day. So I asked you guys, in the spirit of summer and summer travel and exploring cool worlds in the pages of a comic book, who would be your preferred traveling companion between Judge Dredd or Ninjak? And they also both have some super cool posters. If we have time, maybe we can look at them. But yeah.
All right. Let's see what we got here. Let's bring Johnny back in here. All right, so like let's talk this out real quick. Summer's a great time to set off an adventure. Who would be your traveling companion? I actually posted on Previews World. I responded to you actually and said that I feel like Judge Dredd would shut down any extracurricular activities and probably come down hard on excessive drinking and partying. So I'm going to go with Ninjak.
It's a valid argument. I hadn't even thought about that.
So what about you, Johnny? Where are you at on this one?
I don't know. It's like, my extracurricular activities have subsided since my college days. So
that's fair. That's fair.
I got a 5-year-old now I got to protect. So now I'm just like, would Judge Dredd keep my kids safe?
Okay, that's also fair.
That's valid.
I'm not.
Valid point.
And the problem is, like, I'm more familiar with Judge Dredd. I'm not that familiar with Ninjak. I mean, I haven't read the comics. I don't know that much about it. So, I mean, just out of sheer ignorance and not knowing the other character, I unfortunately have to go with Judge Dredd. Not that I'm saying that I wouldn't want to read Ninjak. I just, when you have a 5-year-old.
At this juncture, you're more familiar.
At this juncture, wouldn't be prudent. Okay, so Judge Dredd. And wow.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, whoa. Jeez. Judge
A
Dredd.
whopping 91.3% agree.
I wonder if a lot of people had that same reaction you just had, Johnny.
It could be. I mean, I look at it this way. It's like Judge Dredd has had like 2 movies based on him. So he's out there more in the public eye.
True.
Yeah. I am the law. Yeah, no, you're not Sylvester Stallone. Sorry.
Sylvester Stallone can be the law if he wants to.
No, Carl Urban all the way. Seriously, he nailed that role.
But Sylvester Stallone is just, we love him. I love him. I don't know about you guys, but whatever.
No, I'm definitely a Stallone fan. Like, I actually got a little emotional when he won his Golden Globe for Creed because I was like, that's right. Put some respect on Stallone's name. Damn it.
Yeah.
that guy went through a lot just to get that movie, the original Rocky, made. So I'm all for him.
And just to go over some of the comments, Andrew Cosby said, Judge Dredd is one of my all-time favorite comics characters, and 2000 AD has the best titles out there. But let's be honest, would you really want to go on vacation with Dredd? He'd stick you in an ISO cube just for trying to take those little hotel shampoos.
Fair.
My point. That's all I'm saying.
Mark Caswell is now 100% vax. Good for you, Mark. Says, as someone who has read 2000 AD since Prague 1, I'm going to say Judge Dredd. So yeah, the majority of people out there are saying Judge Dredd.
All right, okay, all right. Hey, no hate on Valiant. It might be one of those things too where maybe 2000 AD actually reposted it and Valiant didn't. That's
possible. I didn't check the
You gotta game the system, guys. You gotta game the system, Valiant. Come on, get on it.
Yeah, there it is. 2000 AD comics. Yep.
That's what happened. That's what happened.
Thank you, 2000 AD comics.
If you're not first, you're last. That's all there is to it. All right. Let's do comic shop shout out so we can walk out of here, Ashton. Who's this week's comic shop shout out?
This week's comic shop shout out goes to Prairie Dog Comics from our friend Mel. So we'll show you some pictures from Prairie Dog Comics at the end while the credits roll. And if you want us to shout out your shop on the show, find us on social media, tag your shop. If they don't have a handle, just leave their name. And also use the hashtag #SupportYourLCS. We'll find your shop, shout them out on the show, and give them a little bit of love.
All right. Actually, got some hot takes here on the Judge Dredd thing. Woo! Love Stallone, but the Judge Dredd was dreadful. I'm gonna hope, Slim Jim Longfoot, that you actually. That was a pun, and you can actually spell.
I was about to say brownie points for the pun.
Right. I'm gonna give you brownie points for the pun. Hopefully that's exactly what you're going for. Judge would shoot me for speeding. I mean, yes, Judge Dredd would do that. So fair enough. I respect it. Like, I'm just saying, maybe Judge Dredd isn't exactly the person you want. He's not the best wingman. How about that? I'm just saying.
Okay, that's probably fair.
All right.
Extra fair, though. The reason I picked Judge Dredd and Ninjak is because those 2 posters feature like the characters specifically versus just like a general location, and they're really cool.
All right. Hey, no hate there, guys. Definitely check out those posters over at freecomicbookday.com because I think they're awesome and I love them. I'm getting a little echo too, so let me just get out of here.
Oh, yikes.
All right. So real quick before we wrap up, I mentioned it earlier. Check out the Cain and Abel interview I did with Shaky Kane and Crent Abel. Like I said, if you're a fan of cartoonist kayfabe or Jim Rugg, Ed Piskor, if you're just a fan of like indie comics in general, then you probably want to check this out. Totally unhinged, which makes it right up my alley. And it's cool. Like the print, it's a bunch of short stories, some unpublished work by both people, and they kind of came together to do this Treasury edition 72-page comic. So it's oversized on top of that. And just to give a little something away, a guest stars Jack Kirby.
Very cool.
And Jack Kirby being abducted by aliens, which ultimately gives Kirby the influence for the Marvel universe. So yeah, there he is right there. So yeah, definitely check that out. Check out the interview. Well, first of all, pick it up at your old comic shop, then check out the interview online, so I don't spoil anything for you, but get some insight into the story itself. Also, I have a Christopher Priest interview going up on the website today. We didn't want to drop it because Vampirella number 21 is out this week. It's dropping comic shops today. So I held off on it until after this show. So get your copy if you're a Vampirella fan. I got to tell you, I actually read in preparation for this interview, I ended up reading like the first 12 issues of it. It's actually pretty amazing. Like, it's actually very funny and not at all what you expect. Super sarcastic, which makes it right up my alley. And turns out that Christopher Priest, also a very sarcastic guy.
Love that.
So write what you know, right? And so yeah, definitely check that out. That'll be on their website later today, but don't click on it until after you've read Vampirella number 21, because big spoilers and big talk about what's coming ahead and ultimately what's going to be his final arc for the run. And also just want to remind people, hey, I did X-Men Roundtable last week. We talked about Grant Morrison's new X-Men run. It went on for 2 hours, Ashton.
Ooh.
Better believe it. And you know what? It was 2 hours well spent on a Friday. And you know what? You don't have to sit there and listen to the whole thing straight out, but you can divvy it up a little bit and check it out. It features Rocco Jerome of Image Grand Disaster, our buddy Mystical Green Beanie, who's been on the show a couple of times, and also Josh Mendez, who's also a comic shop owner in Guatemala, but also has been on the panel Vision before. So Josh has a lot of great insight. And it was actually a fun conversation because there's a lot to unpack about Grant Morrison works in general, but there's a lot to unpack about that book in particular. So definitely check that out. That was a game changer for a lot of X-Men fans. They either loved it or they absolutely hated it. So, hey, spoiler alert, us four, we loved it. So there you go. And also just remind people, like, follow, and subscribe. You know, this is how we know whether or not you like us and whether or not all of this is worth it. So definitely give Previews World a follow, give Previews World some love, and definitely give Free Comic Book Day some love on the Twitter, on the Instagram. And also, I want to point out, Free Comic Book Day has a TikTok, which Previews World doesn't. So definitely keep an eye on that. And if you're on TikTok, definitely check that out. And I guarantee you, we're the least annoying thing on TikTok. I guarantee you, because all we do is let you know what's coming out in comic shops this week. So I swear to God, every time I open TikTok, I feel like I'm being yelled at. So
it's so easy to waste 20 minutes on TikTok.
Oh, it's very, very much designed to do that. Like the way it flips from video to video so fast. It's like, okay, I can't deal with this. I'm just becoming an old man, I guess. I just don't have the attention span for social media. But if you do, you should follow us on TikTok. I know there's not a glowing recommendation to follow Free Comic Book Day.
I know. What the heck was that? You're like, I hate TikTok, but get on there anyway. Like,
you know
grumpy old man.
I am. I totally, yeah. You know what? I'm just going to stop it. Old man shakes fist at cloud. That was me 5 seconds ago. All right. That's it for Previews World Weekly, guys. I've been one of your hosts, Troy Jeffrey Allen.
I'm your other host, Ashton Greenwood.
And I'll see you guys at the Spinner Rack. Catch you later.
Don't forget that you can catch Previews World Weekly streaming live every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific at Previews World on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.